Today we're going to look at a Homelite XL-12. Belongs to a friend of mine. He says didn't run right, had trouble idling, and well, it goes to a fuel problem. But we're going to check a compression on it. We're going to look at the cylinder on this and then kind of see what we're going from there. I'll start pulling the muffler off of it. Get me a pick and I'll pull that spark arrestor out. And now we'll just pull the, well, really don't have to because we can look down in the cylinder for like it is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull you guys in real close and we'll just look inside the cylinder of this thing. After I pull the spark plug, so I can get some light down in there. That cylinder inside this saw looks just dang near brand new. It's very little to no carbon on top of the piston. But it sure does look like it floods a little bit. I tried to start it when I brought it home, but it never did start. Maybe I can get you down the spark plug hole here. See, it's still got the cross hatch. Nothing wrong with this saw as far as the cylinder. Now I guess we'll do the compression check on it, just to do it, make me feel better, and to give you guys out there in YouTube land a kind of an idea of what you should be getting on a compression. Well, there you go. Start in there. There it goes. Now I'll pull this thing over about 8 times or so, and then we'll see kind of what we got. And what it's showing is 150. And I already smell gas, so it's getting gas. It's probably just a carburetor tune issue. So we'll take this compression tester out. See what the carburetor jets are set to. Your high jet's always the one furthest to the back. Your low jet's always one closest to the throttle on the carburetor itself. So we're going to count this. It's 1, it's 2, 3. About 3 turns out. That's way rich. So So we're going to count this again. So it's 1, it's 2, about 2.5 turns. We're going to turn it about 1 turn out, or 1.5 turns. That should be enough to run it. So there's 1.5 turns. And we'll do the same thing on this side over here on the high jet. We're just going to go ahead and turn it out 1.5 turns too. And that's 1, and that's 1/2. I'm going to run the idle screw in just a little bit, if it'll turn, just so that it'll possibly start. Let's cross our fingers and see what. Well, no, it's not going to start without a spark plug, is it? And we'll probably put a new fuel line in it anyway, just because this one's a little hard. But first we're going to check to see if it runs. Spark plug's in good and tight. Coil wire looks pretty good. Put the spark arrestor back in. Well, put it in the right way, it'd probably go a little better. And then just put the cover back on the muffler. Put the screws back in. And this thing should start. I don't know why it wouldn't. Like I said, I already know I'm getting fuel. So that's the big part. All right, let's give it a shot and see what happens here. On, choke on. Let's try it with no choke. Well, that didn't seem to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the air filter off. We'll see if dumping a little fuel down the carburetor will actually help it. It does fire on that. So I guess we're reaching it up just a little bit more then. We'll go 1, we'll just go 2 turns this time then. See if that does it. Give it another drink. Which that's probably 20-to-1 mixed gas in that oil can. Well, I guess this point's when we're going to pull the carburetor out of it. because something's not working like it's supposed to. Let's get the little 5/16 wrench and I'll raise you up here where you can kind of see what's going on. Hopefully it's a little bit better for you. Just going to unloosen the carburetor right here. And right here. It's only 2 bolts that actually hold the carburetor in. And it actually holds it in to the rig cage. All I'm doing with my big fat fingers in the way is pulling the screws out by hand. And next we're gonna pop his carburetor out, which sometimes easier said than done, but this one's cooperating. We would turn the idle screw out. Well, it's a lot easier to get the carburetor off. I'm gonna go right down in here and pop off the fuel line, which is hard as a rock, and it don't want to come off. There it is. All right, it's pretty simple. And then we'll come in here and pull this cotter pin out. This holds the choke lever on. Give me just a minute and I'll be right back with a set of pliers. All right, well, I'm back. So pull that little cotter pin out, just like that Homelite EZ. It's little bitty. All right, here's what we got for a carburetor. It's a Homelite, it says SDC, but I'm gonna say it's an awful lot like a Walbro. I'm gonna say Homelite just branded their name on it. But that's the rig cage right here. Oh, the gasket's broke. That could possibly be the issue. It's not a problem. Today, I guess, is a good day any to learn how to make a gasket. I'll get my gasket material out and we'll make this gasket. Let me get this thing cleaned off and then we'll go from there. Okay, I've debated whether or not to open this carburetor up, and you know, curiosity got the best of me. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this thing up and see what's inside of it. Let's see if there's any trash or anything like that needs to be took out. And the thing comes apart real good, and gaskets don't stick together or rip. I guess we'll be okay as long as they're in good shape. But we'll just take a gander and see what happens. Everything looks to be in pretty good shape. Other than the screen for the fuel filter is not there. Might have to do something about that. See if I got one laying around. We'll pull out the meter and diaphragm and see what it looks like in here. And earlier when I thought it was flooding and I could smell gas, the muffler had just old residue in it. And the gas is actually coming from around the, well, I'll show you. The fuel line right here where the grommet is, gas is actually leaking out around it. So we'll have to seal that up. But I'll do that when I put a new fuel line on it. So back to this metering diaphragm, let's see what it looks like. And it's not even gonna fight me. It's gonna come right apart. It's fairly soft. So we'll take this X-Acto knife and we'll try to lift this. Well, shoot, I got a little gas there. And we'll try to lift this gasket and kind of see what's going on inside of here. Maybe it's good things today. Every now and then you gotta have those days. Everything kind of works out. Yeah, the gasket's not in bad, the diaphragm's not in bad shape. I mean, even the gasket looks pretty good. It's pretty good. There's a little boogered up spots here and there. But I'm gonna say it will still more than likely seal. But we do have gas in here. Pull out the needle. Just gotta take this arm off. You do that by taking this screw right here out. And just watch out, everything's under spring tension. It will shoot across the room and you'll never find it. Well, the spring will. Now we'll take and pull this out and look at the needle, and then we'll spray out everything as far as the carburetor. Take out the high and low jets. And like I said, the high jet is towards the back where the choke is. That's high jet. Then the low jet sits up here where the throttle is. We'll go ahead and just take it completely out too. That way we can spray down in the holes here where the jets are. We can spray in here where the needle seat is. And I'm still gonna try to find a screen for the carburetor. I think I have one laying around. I don't know. I'll be right back. All right, we're gonna clean this carburetor up with some brake parts cleaner. So I'm gonna spray it where the needle goes. Shot right out of there, done what it's supposed to do. Don't get this stuff in your eyes, it hurts, it burns for a little bit. Just gonna clean out the jets. Now we'll come back in with some compressed air. I've got about 20 PSI dialed up on the compressor, and we're just gonna blow all this out. everything's acting pretty good, so we'll put the needles back in just to seal the holes off. Yes, I remember the long needle goes to the high jet. You see the difference in them. The long one goes to the high jet, and the small one goes to the short one goes to the low jet. Big, high, little, low. Run it until it bottoms out. And just run this one in until it bottoms out, and then we'll crank it back off a little bit, say 2 turns or so. 1, 2, and 1 and 2. Then we'll come back in again with a blowgun, and we'll blow this again. Pretty good to me. Now we'll clean up the needle assembly, and we'll set it back in. I'm gonna turn the choke on just so it can sit right there kind of flat. Needle's in good shape. Well, really need to put that spring in first. Spring goes right there. And then the needle goes in this little fork right here on the metering lever. Right there, just like that. And we'll drop that dude right in there where it belongs. Hold everything down with your finger. And we'll put this screw back in. Tighten her down. You don't have to kill it or anything. Just tight. Alright, and the metering diaphragm. This one actually has a tab on it. See if I can get you. Right there, it goes into the metering lever on this one, right here. So it's got to slip right up underneath of it. That's it. We'll put this back together on this side, since gaskets look pretty good. Put the 4 screws back in. Tighten them down. Now we'll flip this dude over and start on the other side. Well, I was going to see if I couldn't find a screen. course, I don't have one in that kit. Surely I'll come up with one somewhere. But it kind of needs one right there. I really don't want to tear the carburetor back down just to put one in it. Give me a minute, see if I can't find one. Well, of course, I put it back together, the carburetor back together, and forgot all about hitting the record button. But things happen. But I did tell you that we was gonna make a gasket, so we're gonna make a gasket. Which, well, give me a minute and I'll cut out a rough shape, and then we'll start adding the holes, and I'll show you how to do it. It's a lot easier than what it's. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this carburetor right here. We're gonna take some wheel bearing grease. Just kind of dab it on here. And what it's going to do is actually going to put the wheel bearing grease over onto the gasket material of where I need gasket, and then leave the holes to where I don't need the gasket. Should be blank. And I'll show you here just a minute after I get this sprayed on here. No, it probably won't be the prettiest gasket, but it's a lot cheaper. So we'll take this gasket here, that gasket material here, we'll drop it on here, get it all lined up, press it on, and then pull it back off. You can see where it showed the layout of where the holes need to be at. It sure does make things a little bit easier when you don't have anything to go by. So what we'll do is we'll cut all this out. And as far as the impulse, all I need is this little hole right here. So I need the hole where the Ventura comes through, where the fuel and air. I need the impulse where it pushes air back into the carburetor, where it makes the pump in the carburetor work, and the 2 bolt holes. That's all I've got to have. This right here, I don't need it, and I don't need this right here. So we'll cut this circle out. We'll cut both of those holes out, and I'll cut that little hole right there for the impulse. And I do all my gasket cutting with an X-Acto knife. That's just what I do, and that's what I use. You can do whatever and use whatever you want. This just so happens to be what I do. And after we get to hear this daggum thing run, I will probably then replace the fuel line, because I'll have to probably put Moto Seal on the rubber grommet when I put the new line in. Just keep the fuel from leaking. pretty good. We'll see how it lines up. She lines up pretty good. You can't beat that with a stick. Now we'll cut out the 2 holes and the impulse line hole, and I'll be right back with you. Well, after a little doing, here's what we got for a gasket. The holes line up. Right here, the impulse hole, right there. It lines up pretty good with the hole that I made in the gasket. And I actually just whittled that out with the X-Acto knife. I just found the center, stuck it in, and just twisted until that hole came in. So yeah, we're pretty much ready to throw this dude back together. And then we'll see what happens. For the small holes that actually bolt it together, I used a 223 brass, sharpened the end of it where it pretty much made a punch. And I got part of the gasket in there and part of the InShot. But it is what it is. It works good though. I always told, don't knock it if it works. Been more of an old school hot rodder, and you know, kind of use what you've got laying around. So I'll raise you up here and we'll put this carburetor in. Which is the exact opposite of taking it out. And we're gonna bend this throttle linkage over just a hair because it did look like it wanted to come out. We're gonna clean out all this gasket that's in here so it just gets sucked up into the carburetor and down into the cylinder. I don't know if that's gonna affect it or not, but not gonna give it a chance. So we'll take this dude right here. We'll go ahead and load the bolts in it. We'll try to set it down all in one unit. Pull your choke out of the way. Boy, they don't go in there no better than that. Dude slipped right in there. You know, kind of like it was made to go. Trying to be a little funny here. You and I both know it was made to go in there. So we're just going to tighten this dude up. Push the fuel line back on. Kind of looking over my shoulder every now and then, kind of check on the status of my tenderloin. I've got it on the grill right now. So if I cut you off again, it's because I'm gonna go look at it. Come on, there we go. She looks tight enough. Throttle works. And now we'll run the idle screw in just until it opens the carburetor up just a little bit. We don't want it wide open. Take a choke, we'll go ahead and hook it up. Put the cotter pin into the choke. So I can already tell you that the XL-12 is a little bit easier to work on than the EZ series is. EZ series, everything is so tight together. Now my pick, and I'll come down on this side and just pull cotter pin up just to keep it from coming back out. So that's what they do. All they do is hold a, well, right there. All it does is got a hole inside the choke arm lever. The choke lever goes in, and then your cotter pin goes in a little bitty hole there to keep it from popping out. Works just fine. So now we'll hook this fuel line back up and hope it draws fuel. But like I said, if it don't, it's no big deal. We're gonna change the fuel line anyway. Yeah, she's a little old, starting to crack and spots. But I'm hoping it will draw a little fuel and it will run. Come back over here to the jets again. And we're gonna go 1.5 turns out. Then we're gonna take the low jet and still go 1.5 turns out. And now we'll see if it fires over, which it should have all the opportunity in the world right now. May have to give her a drink. That way we can get it primed up. Well, it looks like I'm going to go ahead and put a fuel line in it anyway, so I guess we'll go ahead and do that. And while we're at it, I'll go ahead and change this duckbill valve in this fuel cap. That way the fuel cap quits leaking. Just bring you down here to where you can kind of see what's going on. Come in here and you pop out. It looks like cork, but it's not cork. It's some kind of metal. Come in here and you pop it out and try to shoot it across the shop. Looks like that right there. That's what's left of a duckbill valve. And I do have several of them laying around. I do know I have those. So we'll take this brake parts cleaner and we'll spray the cap out. We want everything clean. We're going to reinstall the new valve. I'm going to take my pick and I'm going to go in just right around the edge there. Pull out what little bit's left in there, which is not much because it's gone. And I hope I can show you what it looks like down inside that hole. Maybe. Yeah, you can see the light in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to put one of these duckbill valves in. So I got several of them in a pack. Hope I ain't used them all. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit you and knock you over there. But, you know, we could take the one off, the gas cap off of my Super XL automatic and put it on here too, and it'll still work just the same when we go to try it out. We may do that. Then I'll find these duckbill valves and I'll put it in this cap here. No big deal. See if I can't get you raised up here where you can see everything that's going on. Well, hopefully you can better see what's going on here in the whole operation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I always do. We're going to pull the line off of the carburetor, which I'll probably break it. Yep. She is brittle. Bad. Take his pick and push it out, push what's left out. Then we'll take this end that's sitting over here in the tank, pick it, try to get it out without just completely destroying it. Hope it happens, hope it works. And we did. We got it out without completely destroying it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut the end of this off where it's kind of boogered up. And we'll squeeze that thing back out straight and it'll come right out. Filter looks pretty good too. Say somebody worked on this before they put it up and never got it back out again. So now what we're going to do, pretty simple. Grab a pretty good length of fuel line.
cut it here at an angle, just like that. Makes it easier to go in. And we'll just push this dude right in here into the tank. If I can catch it and pull it out, it'd work real good. And I don't think I'm gonna have to seal this up. I think the old line just shrank. All right. There we go. Now we'll just take and pull this all the way through. And what we're going to do from here is we're going to square this back up again. Put the fuel filter on. Just like that. Then what we're going to do here is we're going to figure out what the length was right here. And pretty much let us know how much was actually in the tank, which is about that much. So we'll pull that through there. We'll drop a filter back down in the tank. So we're done with it now. Make sure it's in the bottom of the tank. Which I've lost sight of it because I have a little bit of gas in here. So I'm just going to add a little extra to it. Not going to hurt anything. Then we'll take this here. And we're going to cut it just a smidge long. Do the same thing. Do the 45 so we can get it inside the grommet. Well, maybe this time I can do a little better. Alright. This way we can get it inside the grommet. Oh, come on. It's always that one part that fights you. And this one's going to be it. All right. I got it to come through now. So now we'll take this and we'll pull the line straight. We'll cut it off even, square, just 90 degrees. Slide everything back, and then we'll start it on the inlet for the fuel on the carburetor. Probably gonna have to have pliers to get it started on there. Nothing wants to work just easy. With this new fuel line, you can push on it. It'll stretch pretty good. And you're not going to just completely damage it. Not completely. Not saying it's not possible, because I have in the past. I have in the past roughed it up a little bit. Alright. And while I was looking for something else, I actually found my little duckbill valve. So what we're going to do with it is drop it straight down in here, just like that. Push it down. Then we'll come in behind it with this plug and we'll push the plug in. And of course, air don't come out of it. Well, just because we can and I run out of storage space on the camera, we're going to listen to this thing run. Alright, we're going to rich it up just a hair. Please leave a thumbs up. I appreciate y'all.